Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Live, Train, Perform podcast. I'm your host, Shaun Kober, and joining me today is Shaun Sargent, who is the founder of BeSpunki. BeSpunki is a male hormone optimization supplement company, and Shaun's going to dive into how this company was founded, how it came about, and what led him down this path. Welcome to the podcast, Shaun.
Thanks very much, Shaun, for having me on. It's a great pleasure.
Mate, I'm looking forward to diving into this episode. For people that don't know, I am an ambassador for BeSpunki, and if people have been following me for a while, they'll know that I would not endorse anything that I don't use myself or that I don't believe in. And I'm sure we'll get into this, but I got a random email many months ago whilst I was in Australia doing my yoga course from yourself, basically saying, hey, try this supplement. We'd love you to come on board and we'd love to build a relationship together. And I was like, who the fuck are these guys? I know nothing about them. Went and did a little bit of research, got in contact with you. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to meet up with you because we were doing, 14, 16 hour days or whatever. But I'm really glad that I came on board and I'm really glad that you reached out. Can you talk to me about how that came about? Like, how did you find out about me and why did you reach out to me?
I mean, I think I'm the greatest internet stalker. My wife says that I stalk people on the internet. So, I mean, we've got a friend in common, Heston Russell, and he's doing the Swiss 8 bid at the time. And then through the Swiss 8, I saw that you guys were up in Byron, which is my hometown. And then I thought, some of the guys were on there, Adrian and so on. And then I checked in, Shaun Kober, who's he? And looked at your profile on Instagram. I thought, fuck, if we could get this guy to work with us, it'd be great because of your background, your knowledge, and what you stand for and what you put out there. So it was like, oh shit, he's in Byron. Let's see if we can meet him. Couldn't meet you, but I thought, well, a few of the guys out of Swiss 8 have been trying the BeSpunki. Let's see if we can get Shaun to try some. So we piled on down to the yoga centre. Got a few funny looks trying to hand a package off to somebody called, BeSpunki. He's like, what's going on? And the rest is history. You kindly took my call. We had a good chat, and we got some shared principles in life, and the rest is history. So that's a very brief version of how I managed to stalk you out and how you kindly said yes.
That's amazing, mate. I've never actually heard that story before. I only know it from my perspective, so it's cool to hear your perspective on it. You mentioned Swiss 8 there. I am an ambassador for Swiss 8 as well, and I am a massive believer in what they're doing in the mental health space. For those that don't know, haven't been following for that long, Swiss 8 is a proactive mental health program that allows you to structure in the most important things of your life that allow you to be better at life. And the principles of Swiss 8, there's 8 pillars of health and wellness. And those principles are sleep, nutrition, discipline, time management, fitness, personal growth, mindfulness, and minimalism. For you, Shaun, is one of those principles more important than any others at this time in your life?
Yeah, I mean, when you mention those, it's a tough one because they're all incredibly important. But I think for me, discipline is key. If you don't have discipline, nothing else follows. So, whether it's the sleep, whether it's the nutrition, whether it's the training, mindfulness, all part of my daily ritual. But if I don't have the discipline to do it, my life falls apart. So I think without discipline, you don't have anything. And I know in my life, when I've been undisciplined, things go to shit very quickly. So I sort of pin that as the foundation point. If I'm disciplined in my beliefs, then everything else follows.
Yeah, I love that answer. Has there been times in your life when one of those other principles have been more important?
No, honestly, because I think, without that discipline, I meditate daily. I try and get my sleep. I'm religious as far as I can with nutrition and exercise. But that all, if without the discipline, it falls apart. You can always be too busy to do. So, I personally think from an early age, I was disciplined into the culture of my life. And whilst I don't have a military background, unfortunately, I do respect a lot of the discipline of the programming of this is what you need to do, sequence. And when you do that, life goes a lot smoother. So I would love to tell you there is, but it's discipline. I know if I lose my discipline, everything goes wrong very quickly.
That's a great point. I've just got back from a 3-week road trip around Thailand, and being in a different environment, staying in a different place every night. I wasn't in my own place, didn't have access to a gym or anything like that. Like, I wasn't training, I wasn't eating as well as normal. I was drinking beer, just a couple of beers with dinner every night. Wasn't getting on the piss and, going clubbing or anything like that. But, that had my environment played a massive part on my discipline and my ability to do the things that I needed to do to be at my best. Where did your sense of discipline come from?
Honestly, I couldn't give you. I mean, my father was a sort of hard-working guy who got up every day and did what he needed to do, and we were just instilled with, you got to work hard, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I guess it's the got to do thing which puts you into a structure. You wake up and he used to be up at 3 a.m. to go to work, and that was religious. It didn't matter if it was summer or winter, snowing or raining or whatever. So it's like I saw him as an example. And then, his father was technically blind from age 30. But I remember him every day, without fail, would hitch 5 or 6 German Shepherds to his hand cart and walk 12, 15 miles a day. You think, how the fuck does he do that when he's blind? Well, it was a discipline to know he had 100 steps till he turned right, 100 steps till he turned, whatever it was. And it wouldn't matter, people would say, why are you going out to do that? And he said, I've just got to do it. And I think it's the subliminal programming of watching people doing things on a repeated basis, and that to me is discipline. Whatever you've got going on, go back to your stability points, and then you'll find your foundation again. And that to me is my definition of discipline. It's going back to your foundational points of what you know is good for you, whether that's exercise, diet, nutrition, meditation, whatever. Get to the foundation point and restart. So that, I think it's just by watching role models. And, it's the same in training, isn't it? If you're disciplined, one of my great heroes is Dorian Yates, the 6-time Mr. Olympia. Not the most gifted of people, but without a shadow of a doubt, the most disciplined person. And I think my view is, from discipline, greatness follows.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. Discipline is doing what you know you should do, even when you don't feel like it. That to me is discipline. And we all know that, eating fucking good food is going to be good for us. Getting 8 hours of sleep a night is going to be good for us. Doing some exercise is going to be good for us. Doing some mindfulness meditation work is good for us. We know what's fucking good for us, but we also know what's bad for us. Like, discipline is simply conditioning yourself to be able to choose doing the good things, what you know is good for you, more often than doing the things that are bad for you.
Yep, absolutely. And also, when you go off piste, as we all do, we're not bloody saints. The discipline gets you back to where...
I've just gone off fucking track for the last couple of weeks, mate, on this road trip.
Yeah, but you know what you need to do. That's your discipline to get you back to where you want to be and beyond. So, I'm a slack arse. So without discipline, I'd be a wreck. And I remember as a kid laying in bed at 3 a.m. with the alarm going off, because I used to work with my old man. And, I felt the bed's warm, it's pissing outside, it's freezing, it's dark. And it's like, no, I need to get up because I need to earn money, because I want to buy things as a 12, 15-year-old, whatever. It's easy to roll over, pull the duvet on and go, fuck it. But that isn't going to get the shit done. So it's that discipline to say, I want to do this, so this is what I've got to do. Yeah,
another great point. Now, I want to talk about that because you had some really strong masculine figures in your life growing up that kind of, you grew up playing sports. We'll dive into some of the competitive sports that you played, competed in, but you had some very masculine figures in your life. including your father and your grandparents and things like that. Can you talk to me about the impact that having those strong, physically fit and competitive men, what sort of impact they had on you?
Yeah, I mean, my old man was always out working, and so the grandparents always have a big impact. So I was fortunate because my grandparents were very different. My father's father was a big fuck, bare knuckle boxer, horse trader, something out of the Snatch movies, dealing with gypsies, and they were top people. And because he was blind, it always used to fascinate me. You could walk in the room and he would know you were there, and he would know who it was before you said anything. So he had like this sense, and I guess that's why he could walk his dogs. And he always used, he trained with Reg Park, who was the guy who was Arnold Schwarzenegger's idol. And I saw him, pick an 18-stone bag of corn up on a shovel. And he also carried a horse cart on his back for over 500 yards, like the yoke. So when you're 5 years old, it's like, fuck, I want to be like that. Or, when he's in a pub and everybody's coming up to speak to him out of a respect, because he's built that respect through his actions. So, I always wanted to train.
Can we just pause there for a moment?
Sure.
Let's just pause there for a moment, because if some people don't know who Reg Park is, he was one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's mentors and idols, and he was Mr. Universe, 3 times. He played Hercules in a number of movies, and your grandfather was training with him.
Yeah, well, we live near Leeds, which was where Reg Park came from. So, my first set of weights was a Reg Park set of weights, that my granddad had in the barn. So I used to sneak in there. And, to me, it was like lifting weights. I was crap at soccer, which was a letdown to my other grandfather. We didn't play rugby at school because, for some reason we had a woke type school where, I know you don't play rugby. And I didn't live near enough to a rugby club to play rugby. I would have been much better at rugby than soccer. So, going into the barn to lift weights and mess around with weights was like absolutely... and I saw my grandfather, all these guys coming up to him. And I thought, yeah, shit, I want to be like that. I want to be a big guy. And, if this is what you got to do, and it felt good. So, he was that influence on me. And then my mum's dad was a semi-professional soccer player. And he always used to come over on a Wednesday every week. And he'd play soccer with us. And then, much to my brother and my dislike, he'd chuck us in a fucking cold bath. Say, oh, you got to get in a cold bath, Tosh. He used to call us Tosh. I still don't know why he called us Tosh. But he took us in this bath, and we'd have 5 minutes in the cold bath. So, maybe it's some relation of Wim Hof, I don't know. But we used to, this cold bath was... But, he was as fit as anything, played semi-professional soccer. In fact, he didn't get out. All of his relatives got out onto the Burma Railway because they were conscripted. And he was kept in his hometown because the RAF wanted him to play soccer for the RAF, as opposed to shipping him out into the railway. So he was lucky, and I guess that had some impact on me too. Of shit, if you're good at sport, you get to the benefit of doing things that other guys don't. So it was a disappointment to me that I wasn't very good at soccer, but hey, so be it.
So how old were you when you were playing around with the Reg Park weights?
Probably 6 or 7.
Fuck.
Bear in mind, my family had a farm, so in the summertime we would go making hay or baling straw, and I wanted to drive the tractor, and then as I got older I wanted to fork the hay bales up onto the trailer. There was none of this mechanical shit. It was a pitchfork and pitching it up. So I guess I've got some sort of perverse competitive nature. Is I wanted to be stronger than the men. So I would, even at 8, do all I could to outlift the men, and they couldn't pitch it up and I could pitch it up, or they were knackered and I wasn't. And I guess it was some sort of thing of wanting acknowledgement from my father, because he was there too. But it was also that sort of grandfather thing of, Bill Sargent's a strong guy, or his grandson's a strong guy, whatever. So it was... From 8, I was just shifting shit about, or, my family made ice cream, which is pretty crazy, making ice cream in England. Talk about a difficult gig. But I used to lift 10-gallon churns of milk into the vats, or carry 50-kilo bags of sugar. You had to squat down, pick it up, carry it up a ladder and drop it in. I mean, health and safety would have a field day, but it was like, for me, it was like, yeah, I'm lifting this shit and nobody else can do it. And it's like, you're 12 years old. It's like, I don't care. I'm earning money. I'm working with my dad, and I just enjoying it, you know. So
yeah. So you grew up with that kind of physical upbringing.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm the same. That reminds me of like, I left home when I was 14 and moved to Darwin. Like, left school, left my home state, and moved to Darwin from Queensland and started working up there. And I got my forklift license before I fucking got my car license, which I don't think is legal. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, I was driving forklifts and I would fucking unload, 20, 30 tons of cement bags from shipping containers and put them onto 1-ton pallets and fucking wrap them up. And I was shifting 20 tons a fucking day. And again, I don't think health and safety, I'll probably fucking die of cancer or something when I'm older because of all of the cement and shit that I breathed in. But, that was what I was doing when I was 15 years old. And, people are like, oh man, you're in good shape. Like, what do you do? And I'm like, well, you guys are going to school, and here I'm fucking shifting 20 tons of concrete per day, and cutting up fucking rebars and things like that. I was working for a building supplies company, providing a heap of the raw materials for a lot of the building industry in Darwin at the time. And, that was fucking tough work, man. But that taught me the importance of, discipline, hard work, perseverance.
Yeah. I think the world needs strong men. And, what I really love about, what we do with the BeSpunki and working with guys like you or Heston or, some of the other guys, Heston, Russell, all of the guys are strong men. And, you can say what you like, but evolution has always been led by strong men. And so to me, it's like, you got to take care of business. I'm no superhero, but if I can be the best I can be, then I've got the best chance of being something for my family, for my wife, or whatever. And I think the world's always got into a difficult place when it's been led by weedy men. And I won't get political in that, given what's gone on in the recent weeks. But, to me, guys such as yourself or the boys at Swiss 8, the veterans, absolutely salute to you all, because the world needs guys like you. And that's my inspiration now is just, doing what we can to help guys to be as strong as they can be. We don't all need to be Reg Park or Arnold Schwarzenegger, but, let's celebrate being men and fucking enjoy that.
Yeah, I think that's a really important topic to touch on, because over the last couple of years in particular, there's been, massive talk around toxic masculinity. And, there's a lot of fucking groups that are throwing shit and pointing the finger at, soldiers and, just strong male identities and personalities and saying, well, that's fucking toxic. Well, hang on a second. Like, for the most part, toxic masculinity is my father, well, I don't know my father, but my stepdad, that is fucking toxic masculinity. He was a piece of shit. He fucking beat me. He beat my mum. Never worked, was just a really fucking poor role model. I actually look at him, and I've spoken about this in numerous podcasts, I actually look at him as a role model for what I fucking don't want to be. That is toxic masculinity, but serving my country, putting on the uniform of my country and going overseas and doing what my fucking government asked me to do, along with a band of brothers that also signed the fucking dotted line to, basically give their life over to somebody else for a bigger purpose and a bigger cause than themselves. Like, that is not fucking toxic masculinity. That is something that, being a strong, independent, powerful man that, takes care of business when it needs to be taken care of, but then also has the softer side to be able to, mold back into civilian population and, have their aggressiveness and their power and their strength and everything under control. Like, that's a fucking sign of positive masculinity.
100%. And I mean, to me, you've summed it up better than I ever could do. I think when you look at guys who are strong, they don't need to do the toxic masculinity behavior because they know they're strong. You generally get the the ones who aren't strong, who do the toxic masculinity to try and make a point, or, you know, you don't have to dominate somebody to prove you're strong. In fact, that shows you're weak. And, you know, there's a lot of guys out there who are incredibly strong, are the nicest people. You know, in the UK, a number of my mates were Special Forces, SBS, SAS, intelligence. They're the nicest people you could meet. One of our ambassadors, David Hydra Kyriakou, is the UK's top reality martial artist. I mean, fuck, I'd take him and you into a fucking fight any day, you know, because, you know, they're capable, but nicest guy you could meet. You know, he's had his shit, he's dealt with shit, like, you know, not in battle, but on the battle of the streets. And now he's now teaching kids in London how to survive knife crime, you know, because they're all killing each other because they don't have good role models. They're confused about what masculinity is and toxic masculinity and all of that shit, and they've got nothing to do. So, you know, it's a big thing for me, and I could go off on a massive rant, but what I know is I know that I've always gravitated around strong people, whether that's male or female. And I mean, toxic femininity is just as fucking bad, if not worse, than toxic masculinity. And, you know, I've never hit a woman, and I wouldn't condone that, but there's been a few who've been fucking close, because, you know, they really sort of know how to push your buttons, and they're absolutely awful. You know, I've seen women glass men, I've seen women fucking stab men, and it's like, come on, seriously? You know, I'm an old romantic, you know, an officer and a gentleman and a fucking, you deal with your lady and all of that shit properly, not equality. Yeah, we're all equal, but we're different equal. Let's celebrate our differences and celebrate them properly. And so, you know, it's pretty fucking out there.
Yeah, mate. We could quite easily go down this fucking rabbit hole, man. I don't want to veer too far off topic, but, you know, I do want to say that, you know, you can't fucking cheat biology. You know, humans have been around for fucking, you know, tens of thousands of years, you know, in roughly this iteration or very close to it, and, you know, we evolved a fucking certain way, and evolution takes a long time. Evolution is a long thing. Revolution is a short thing. You know, we're seeing a revolution, which is all well and good, like, but evolutionary speaking, we evolved to, you know, do certain things, and men particularly evolved to become protectors, you know, to go hunting, to provide. And as much as life has changed nowadays, like, that's how we evolved, and those, that reptile brain that fucking we evolved with is still there. So as much as, you know, some people don't like it, it is the case. It is how we evolved, and, you know, it's going to take a long time before that reptilian brain starts getting switched off, right? But is that necessarily a good thing? Do you want fucking guys that, you know, that can't protect their family, that can't provide for, you know, the people around them, that can't fucking stand up for themselves and fight off a threat and provide security? Like, come on, like, what do you want? You can't have fucking both.
Exactly. I'm with you.
But like I said before, that's the positive masculinity, is being able to flick the switch between the two, right? Being able to fucking step up and be aggressive and provide, and, you know, bat off any threats that come up, whilst also being able to, you know, nurture and look after a fucking child as well, right? It's all about that balance, man. Now, we did go off on a little bit of a tangent there, but that kind of transitions into where I want to go next. Now, your mother unfortunately passed away when you were young. Can you talk to me about, like, what effect that had on you? You were a teenager while she was sick and going through that process, and she passed away whilst you were still a teenager. Obviously, you're going through, you know, a fairly tough time in your life already, with your hormones all over the place, going through puberty. What sort of effect did that have on you?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty big, and I think it's taken me a long time to actually deal with it properly. You know, when you're 15, 16, 17, you hide things and bury things, and, you know, yeah, I was upset when she died, but I didn't cry for 20 years. And it was only really when I got together with Sam, my wife, where I felt in a safe space to actually deal with that properly. I think I just buried it so deep. It caused a massive amount of distrust for me in the medical profession, because I remember the doctor saying it's all going to be all right. We're not even sure if it's cancer. We just whip it out, and oh well, you probably need a bit of chemo and a bit of fucking radiation just to make sure if it is cancer we've got it all. And that was all pretty bad for her. And then, oh shit, we need to take out all your female bits and give you fucking tamoxifen to make sure it doesn't come back. And she'd have been better having a gun in her mouth than fucking killing herself when she found out, because for 5 years, they just tortured her. And all we got from the doctor was, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And, one of the things that I found out later in life was they told my dad on day one that she got no chance, but they didn't tell her, and he wasn't to tell her. And so there's this whole realm of bullshit. Fuck. And it's like, fuck, and it's a big question, Shaun, what's the best way to do it? I don't have an answer for that. But, if you say to somebody you've got no hope, then you've got no hope. So, to give them some hope is good. But, given what it was it hope or was it not? And, it destroyed my old man. And, I had 20 years in the wilderness where I didn't speak to him. And it's only in the last 8 years that I've actually become friends with him, good friends with him, because of the understanding of what he had to carry. He had one son coming up for 17 when she died, and my brother was 14. And it's like, he had to carry my mum and us and the business and everything. And it's like, fuck. So, how would I have handled it if I was him? I don't know. I think, I told him I thought he did a good job in the end. But all it did was make me, I don't trust people now. You've got to earn my trust. And, it's like I look for bullshit everywhere because, these bastards lied. And, was it for her good? I don't know. She didn't have a good fucking life, that's for sure.
Mate, what a fucking horrible burden for your old man.
Absolutely.
That is horrible to be told that your wife has no fucking chance and is going to die, and you can't tell anyone in the family, and yet here's your wife being told that she's okay, she's going to get through this, and you're seeing these fucking blatant lies right in front of your face. What the fuck, man? That really pisses me off, and I understand, why you had those trust issues. That's ridiculous, man. How losing your mother, obviously she was, she's your mother, so she's the nurturing part of the relationship that, the female femininity of your life, that feminine power, that feminine energy. How did that affect you when you lost that? And how did that affect your dad and your relationship there? I can imagine that would have thrown a massive spanner in the works.
Yeah, for me, I was fortunate because I'd had a lot, 14 years of her being absolutely fantastic. I was fortunate to be close to both my parents as a kid. So I've got the memories of it, but then it's suddenly gone. You see them in the coffin. It's a pretty fucking stark reminder, and there's nothing there. So I went off the rails, I was predicted top grades in the fucking school and everything, and she carked it and I failed everything. There was no help, none of the teachers gave a shit, it's like, oh, you failed. It's like, yeah, get fucked. So, I found alcohol, fighting, and fucking, basically. And I wasn't a very nice person for a year and a bit. And, my dad did his best. He's left with 2 kids. He doesn't know what the fuck to do. And, he's a man. And so he finds another chick in, what I considered to be an inappropriate amount of time. But, we're all different. Mm-hmm. And I've made peace with that. So that didn't work for me. So we had Can
we just pause there for a moment?
Yeah.
When you say an inappropriate amount of time, what would you say?
Well,
if it's not too personal.
No, it was within a year,
Yeah. When did you find out that your dad knew that your mum was going to die?
I think...
But couldn't say anything?
That would have been probably 4 or 5 years after she passed. And that only came out by accident.
Do you think that played a massive part in him moving on quickly and basically getting another woman in to replace her? I know you can't replace your mother, but, to kind of fill a gap, so to speak.
I mean, without getting too personal, let's say there are people that you replace people with, and there are people that you don't. And, you know, when somebody comes in who's only 5 years older than your son, then you think, yeah, that's maybe not the best choice you could have. Not just for me, but for the long term. You know, I mean, it was, you know, he's now divorced again for the second time, and you know, he admits that was not his finest moment, but I fully understand it, because I can only say now, with my relationship, I wouldn't know what the fuck to do without Sam. So, you know, I understand it, and it's helped me process it better, should we say.
Again, a little bit off topic, or off the track that I wanted to go down, but I think this is interesting, and I obviously didn't know this about you, but what are your thoughts on euthanasia?
I reckon it's a pretty good thing, you know, if it's done properly. You know, if, like the shit we've got going on in this world now, you know, if it gets bad, you know, I don't want to be in the fucking Book of Eli or the, you know, any of this shit, you know. I mean, you know, you never want to pop the red pill just before the fucking aliens come and rescue you. You know, and making a joke of that for people who don't understand my English humour. But, you know, if you're fucking seriously ill and you're racked with pain, give me a jab. I mean, I saw my mum on morphine, completely out of it.
Yeah.
And there was no fucking hope for her. The kindest thing somebody could have done to her is give her a jab when she was sleeping. And funny, Sam and I were talking about it yesterday. You know, the best way to go is to go in your sleep. You know, not fucking racked with pain. And my grandfather, my mum's father, he was fit as fuck. I said he was a semi-professional football player. Less than a year after my mum died, he died of a heart attack driving his car. You know, broken-hearted, whatever you want to say. He knew nothing about it. We were all devastated because we had shock to process it.
Yeah.
But what a way to go. I mean, I don't want to be laid in a bed, somebody feeding me or not fucking knowing what to do. Just, you know, I'm happy to come back and have another go. So I think it's personal choice, Shaun. You know,
I think that's a powerful word, is choice. You know, the reason I asked that question is because your mum was very fucking sick, and I assume her quality of life deteriorated over time. You know, it was a gradual downhill slope and then fucking off the cliff, right? Now, if the medical staff had have said your chance of beating this is 2%, your quality of life is going to deteriorate, we're going to be feeding you a heap of radiation trying to kill this thing, blah, 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 then she's got the information to then be able to make a choice where she can go, you know what, I want to fucking live my best life for the next year, and then I'm going to fucking punch out of life. I'm done. You know, and everyone knows that, and everyone can have that that kind of time with her, that quality time, and also be able to process it knowing that that date is coming up, rather than just fucking watching her degrade over the years and then be gone.
Exactly. So I think, you know, it's like with everything. I always say we're sovereign beings. We should have a choice of what we do, and, you know, choose wisely. You know, you can't. There are some things you can't come back with, and that's okay. But choose wisely, but have a choice. And some people would say, "No, I believe in that 2%, and I'm gonna go for it, and I'll do my best." And I know people close to me who've been given 3 months to live, and 8 years later they're alive. Everybody's different, but, you know, I think full information. And people say you can't handle the truth, and that's okay. I get that, but, you know, having had it firsthand, it's like, don't bullshit me. Just don't bullshit me. And, you know, we could have made some different choices too, had we known. And so the effect of it was I went completely off the rails, and I needed to find something to put my energy into, which is why I started playing gridiron. You know, I was in the sixth form at school. I don't know what you call it in Australia, but it's what you do after mandatory school. And I was just dossing around, and then I saw a thing in the paper which said local gridiron needs new recruits, and I'd watched American football on the TV, and I thought, oh, I could do this.
I get to fucking hit people.
yeah, legally, and that was great. So I went down, and I was the youngest on the team, the smallest on the team. I thought I could. They said, "Oh, you can play tight end or something," and they gave me this playbook like this, and I thought, "Fuck, I can't fucking read this." all this code right 24 hook, and it's like bollocks. Defense is for me. So I started playing defensive end, and then I was pretty good, and then they put me to middle linebacker, and I thought, Jesus Christ, I wish I'd been born in America. I fucking love this. You mean, you get to hit people fucking hard, and the harder you hit them, the more. And the town I came from was a steel town, so there were some big fucking rough men on the team, legends, absolute legends. I remember we went up to Leeds to play in a park in the winter, one of our first games, and the team we were playing up there was a renegade team of all of the bad people who'd been thrown out of the other team in Leeds. So these were real nutters, and it was in the park. It
reminds me of the movie The Longest Yard, where the guards play against the inmates.
Worse than that. And we had the crowd come on. I mean, you got a fucking helmet and pads, and we had the crowd coming on, fighting, and then all of our guys, and there was like, the old 99 call in rugby. Everybody's having a scrap. So I had 4.5 years playing football, and it was the best. And that helped me because it got rid of so much anger, and I was hanging around with people who were really good people, people who other people would say, oh, they're bad people, they're steel workers, dockers. We had one guy who made, I don't know, you're probably too young, William the Refrigerator Perry used to play for the Chicago Bears. He was a big guy, massive guy. And we had a guy called Big Andy. He had a helmet, but he took all of the padding out to get it on his head. And he was a pirate because he was a fisherman, and long hair, beard. I mean, this guy could drink 40 pints a night. I seen him drink 40 pints a night and 2 bottles of my dad's whiskey. So I was dealing with these people. These were my heroes, man. This was like, fuck, this is what I was born to do. And I loved it. So that's what, I went into the slump of anger, aggression, and so on, and the football just got me out of it.
I think, again, that's another really fucking good point, man. I grew up playing sports. I came from an abusive family, and I had that anger and aggression as well. And playing rugby was my outlet, and then I joined the military, and I had that aggression, and I could control it, on the battlefield or within training or physical training or whatever. And I think that was a great outlet for me to be able to express that, but also keep it under control.
Yeah. And
now, you did actually play you represented Great Britain in gridiron, played against Australia. That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's like our team was a team of vagabonds, and we won local league, middle league, big league, and so on over the years. And then we got a coach who was the ex-Great Britain coach, and he came up to train us. And then he had a bit of a beer rivalry with his replacement. And he said, well, my team could beat your Great Britain team. We're so good. So they sent the Great Britain team up, and it's a bit like that prison guard thing. There's this ragtag bobtail team of us, and there's the British guys with their gleaming outfits on and all of this. And we fucking whacked them. We whacked them so hard the cunts didn't even stop for an after-game drink. So their coach was so embarrassed. He said, well, I can't let my team, my Great Britain team, play against in an international because you've beaten them, so you go on and represent the country. So whilst I played for Great Britain, it's not that I elevated up to the Great Britain team. We beat the Great Britain team and they let us play. So we played Australia, and that was fantastic. So we just like a fairy tale,
That's a cool story. Who won?
Fucking we did.
Oh, I was going to say, come on, Aussies.
Yeah. Well, now I would say, come on, Aussies. But now, at that point, it was like, no, we just want to win everything,
Yeah, true. Now, I want to talk about how you... we've spoken about supplements. You do run, or you own a supplement company, which we're going to dive into in a moment. But I want you to talk about how you got into supplements and training, nutrition, all that type of stuff, how you're kind of looking for the edge outside of, playing sports, because you grew up in motocross, you represented nationally at schoolboy level, and obviously represented Great Britain in gridiron. You grew up in that competitive environment. Like, what were you doing off the pitch, off the training paddock that allowed you to be your best self?
Honestly, Shaun, very little. It's embarrassing to say. I mean, there was nothing in that point in time, really. I was reading the muscle and fitness magazines and all of that. So, I was looking at, the Weight Gainer 8000 and all of this shit. But at the same time, motocross is a very intense sport. And my old man was working hard to pay for bikes for us to be doing it. So he wanted us to do well. And he sent us off to a training camp with a guy called Brian Wade, who was a British motocross champion. And he had a PT who was ex-Paras. So this cunt had us running up and down sand dunes in full motocross gear. And, we were puking and all of that shit. And it's like, okay, I need to really up my game. And he gave us what was the precursor to HIIT training protocols to do at home to build our fitness. And I wasn't into that. It's like, I can't be doing that. So I'll go the easy way. I'll go supplement way. So Joe Wider bought out an electrolyte drink, which was, it looked like urine. It tasted like urine. But I saved up all my money to buy it because I thought, if he's going to give me an extra 5% on the motocross track, it'd be great. All it did was make me puke.
Was that Agent Orange or something like that?
No, that was what Dan Duchesne bought later, which was absolutely fantastic. That shit worked.
Yeah. That was like the first pre-workout, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was the thing. So, like, there was that aspect, and then I was looking for shit, and then MCTs came out. In their beginning, so I was whacking down this MCTs because I wanted six pack and I wanted longevity of energy, and having to go on a motocross track to between motos to shit out your arse like nobody's business because it was terrible and they hadn't done it properly. So my dalliance with supplements has been anything and everything, and nothing worked. And the reason it didn't work was nothing to do with it. I didn't put the work in, and that's why I say it was embarrassing because I never really trained that hard. And then you talk about, I remember when Muscle Media came out with Bill Phillips and he introduced me to Dan Duchesne, and, he was whacking in ephedrine, caffeine, aspirin. And I mean, You might not believe it looking at me, but I used to go to church in my early 20s because I was hedging my bets. I thought if there's a God, that's great. And if there's not, that's all right. I've hedged my bets. So I used to drop 3 ephedrine before I went to church, before I went to the gym to train legs on a Sunday. So you can imagine I'm fucking like this, eyes wide open in church, like singing as loud as I can. And, fuck me, they're going to ban the only thing that...
For those listening at home, like, ephedrine used to be over the counter. You could buy it over the counter. You can't fucking buy it over the counter anymore. It's like... It's the prime ingredient in like ADD or ADHD. Yeah.
But I mean, it's only because some fat fuck in America died. One person in America dies who's like 50 stone and had 400 McDonald's. And they ban it. I mean, it was safe and it did work. I mean, I'm not a doctor, so it's not medical advice. But me and my mates were whacking in that. I remember driving down from where I lived to Cornwall, which was a 9-hour drive with my brother. We dropped 4 of these each in this little Vauxhall Corsa, which is a Holden Corsa. Music on, Metallica, the drive went like crazy. But hey, these are the silly things that I've done, which is why now I want to be able to create something that actually does people good. Let's say it's my karma.
That's great, mate. For those listening, I mean, if you were born in the late 90s or later, like, you've grown up with the internet, but Shaun's 50 odd. I'm 35, and all of the information that we got growing up came from these fucking muscle fitness magazines, Muscle Media, all this type of stuff. And for the most part, like, these magazines were owned by supplement companies. They were a front for the supplement companies, and most of the articles in there were literally pushing their own fucking supplements. Yeah. And they would have these like advertisements, or they'd have this article where this guy's talking about, I'm doing this type of training and blah, 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 but this is the secret. I'm taking this supplement here and blah, blah. And you don't realize it when you're a fucking young guy and you're like, right, I'm going to go and buy that shit because that's going to work, man. And I was the same, bro. I fucking took every supplement under the sun thinking it was going to be, the next best thing, and it was going to accelerate my fucking gains and all that type of stuff. And then you'd have all these advertisements in the back of the magazine that looked like they were dodgy, and you're like, all right, well, this is the dodgy shit. This is like fucking testosterone. This is like steroids, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, all right, I'm going to get on that stuff. And you go and order it, and, you try and get your hands on some of that stuff, and you take it for like 2-3 months or something, and you're like, it just makes you shit yourself.
Yeah, exactly that. And, I remember training at the gym in Lincoln, and a professional bodybuilder came down there who was Mr. Universe in England. Nice guy. He's only about 5 years older than me. He's a fucking monster. But he slept 23 hours a day. And when he came out, he was as angry as fuck. And when he spoke to us, like, if you got him on a bad day, you'd get out of the way. And if you got him on a good day, he'd say, oh, you want to take this Atlas Weight Gain 3,500, which is basically cocoa powder and sugar. And we were like, oh, this is
and there's like fucking 4 scoops of that stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, you got to take 4 scoops of it. It's like taking a coffee cup, like a coffee mug, and just scooping fucking bucket loads of this protein powder into your smoothie.
Yeah. I'm pleased I'm not alone, Shaun, but I've done some daft shit with supplements, which, you know, is why now with what we're trying to do with BeSpunki, it's a tough job, because a lot of guys are like me, like you, who've bought shit and it hasn't worked. So, you know, I think the supplement industry is like one of the most corrupt industries in the world, and that's a fact. That's not just me saying it, because they get away with murder. So to try and show that you're different, because everybody says that, don't they? Everybody's different. Everybody's doing it, and you know, it's a slow job. But that's why we like working with credible guys like yourself, who don't take bullshit, who've been through the same shit as that I've been through. And it's like, no, okay, we kicked the tires, and yeah, it looks good, so we'll have a go with it. And you know, that's what my mission is, to try and say to guys, you know, again, back to the cancer story, just give you the facts and you make your decisions. I'm not here to convince you. You know, I don't have a point of view whether you take it or you don't. What I want to do, my job, is to explain it to you best I can, so that you can make the best decision you can. And if you choose not to do it, great. If you choose to do it, fantastic. But it's just to give you the choice to do it. So I think my supplement journey, my supplement journey has helped me understand what guys face, because I've been there.
Yeah, man. Let the product speak for itself. And that's, to like, full disclosure here, that's why I was a little bit hesitant when you initially reached out to me, because I hadn't heard of BeSpunki. I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? Why is this dude reaching out to me? Like, where's he got my contact details from? You know, what do they want, basically? And because I'd never heard of them before, I, you know, went down that path and did some research, and reached out to you, and we connected, and we had a chat, and I said, look, before I fucking endorse anything, I want to trial the product, and I want to trial it for a couple of months to make sure that it is something that is worth getting behind. Because again, I fucking took every supplement under the sun. I spent a lot of money on wasteful supplements that just made me shit myself, or made me feel bloated, or, you know, just didn't do anything, because I hadn't dialed in all of the other things, the other components of life that was going to allow me to, you know, allow those supplements to do their job. But for the most part, most supplements are fucking, you know, if they say they've got these ingredients, like, it's not really active ingredients. It's more like, oh, let's fucking fairy dust this stuff. Let's sprinkle a little bit of this stuff in there so that we can say that it's actually got these active ingredients. Whereas that's not the fucking case. And, you know, all supplements, like, they're not regulated. So it is very difficult to be able to find a really fucking good supplement that actually does what it says it's going to do. And, you know, again, full disclosure, I was an ambassador for Body Science BSc in Australia. And I've been using Body Science products for years. You know, I wore their compression tights and things like that for many, many years, growing up playing rugby and things like that. And whilst I was in Tasmania, probably like 5 years ago now, you know, I was training strength and conditioning with some rugby teams, and, you know, training my clients and things like that. And I actually had a guy and his wife who owned a supplement store come to me and ask me to be an ambassador for Body Science in Tasmania. And I was like, cool, what do you need from me? Like, I like Body Science. I've been using their products for many, many years. What do you need from me? And they were basically like, well, we want to sell their products. And I was like, all right, cool. What does that mean for me? And they're like, well, you need to run, you know, an event every month where we provide these supplements for you, and then people come in, and then they do these taste tests, and then you get their email addresses, and then we, you know, push some marketing and things towards them. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, do supplements work? They can, if used correctly. However, if I'm going to come on board as an ambassador, I'm going to fucking do it my way. So what I actually ended up doing was running like nutrition seminars where I'd get people to come in, I'd talk about energy balance, then I'd go into macronutrients, micronutrients, different diets, calorie cycling, carb cycling, all that type of stuff. And then I'd talk about supplements at the top. And I'm like, if you've got any deficiencies here, this is where your supplements come into play. And I fucking ran the program like that, and I was an ambassador with them for a year and a half or something before I ended up leaving and coming to Thailand, where I lost that. They actually wanted to keep me on as an ambassador, but it was going to be too hard being in Thailand. But when you reached out to me as well, it was the same thing, man. I was like, all right, well, if I'm going to come on board, I want to test this product. I want to make sure it's something I believe in, something that I use. And man, I'm really grateful that I have come on board because our values and our principles are very well aligned. But let's talk about how BeSpunki. Well, let's first of all talk about what BeSpunki is and how it came about, and then talk about the evolution of it.
Yeah, I mean, just to finish that point you just made, Shaun, you wrote a very great piece for us where you talk about the pyramid. And, BeSpunki sits at the top of the pyramid. If you've not got the rest of the pyramid in play, don't buy BeSpunki. And it's phenomenal. And, I refer people to that repeatedly when they send me an email. It's not a magic pill. And if you're looking for a magic pill, don't waste your dollars. And you understand it really, really, really well. So I'm very grateful to have your knowledge and your experience there, because everybody wants a magic pill. There's that thing where they asked the American guys, if you could have a pill that would win you the gold medal at the Olympics, but you died a year later, would you take it? Mm-hmm. And 96% said they would. There isn't a magic fucking pill. I'm 52, 53 years old. I tell you, I've been searching for that fucker since I was 6. And REBOOT isn't a magic pill. It works because I've got the rest of my shit together, my nutrition, my sleep, my meditation, my stress, blah, blah, blah. But, you nailed it. So if anybody wants to really know somebody who understands what BeSpunki REBOOT is about, check out Shaun's article on our webpage, because you nailed it, mate. So how did BeSpunki come about? Well, as I've said, I was nearing 50. I've got a very nice, young, fit wife who's 11 years younger than me. And, I'm a bit of a hedonistic guy. I wanted to be able to make sure I could go the distance and look after myself and take care of business. When she moved in with me in England, she fucking threw out all my whey protein and supplements. We spent more time at the local municipal tip every weekend, shipping out my 5 kilo whey proteins. And so I said, fuck, we were in Auckland, going to do a seminar across there, and we're having a drink in the pub. And I was doing what I normally do, like moaning on, fuck, I can't find anything, I'm a bit worried, all of this doom and gloom. She said, why don't you fucking make your own? It's like, I'm a chartered accountant, I'm business. I don't know what. She said, well, you've had enough of this shit to know what doesn't work. Why don't you create something that does? So that's a very quick. 6 months later, we met a PhD scientist whose specialty is in male andropause, male aging. And that was a random meet. Wasn't planned, and it wasn't for a supplement. And we just got chatting, and I could chat for hours with anybody, as you well know. And it's like, fuck. I said, oh, so could you create a supplement for me that's going to help me? I want to boost my testosterone. And she said, oh, no, you don't want to boost your testosterone. You need to look after these things first. And I went, okay. So if we created something that you would put your name to that would work, could you do that? Could you formulate that? So she said, yeah. So she went off and spent 12 months or whatever looking at the clinical science of what the optimum male supplement would be. Because it's not about testosterone. Anybody who thinks it's about testosterone's wrong. You got to deal with your cortisol. You got to deal with your insulin levels, because the 3 key hormones: cortisol, insulin, and testosterone. Cortisol's the school bully. So if cortisol's present, testosterone's not going to work. If insulin's present, testosterone can't work. So in this modern life, we've got guys whacking in TRT, steroids, whatever, but they're not taking care of the cortisol levels or their insulin levels, and then they wonder why their test levels and their estrogen levels are out of sync. So it was just an opportunity for me to learn for myself. So I created BeSpunki selfishly for myself, and then I thought, well, there's a shitload of guys out there just like me who are just as lost as I am. Let's put it out there and see what we can do.
Yeah, let's go back to the scientist, because she just recently completed her training in like male hormone optimization or something like that, hadn't she?
Yeah. Yeah, she's just done a PhD. She's actually been doing work for a lot of companies to find, herbs that work for men. So like the testofen, the fenugreek that we put in, she did some work on that on the human clinical trial. So we're getting cutting edge science from somebody who's at the coal face of finding out what works and what doesn't work. And she also did the human clinical trials on the saffron that we put in, which has been shown in human trials to alleviate mild depression better than over-the-counter prescription meds. So, we're very fortunate, and she's only in Brisbane. So, she's only 2 hours drive from us. And, it's the first time anybody had said to her, create a product. We never asked her what it would cost. And she said to us, have you got a budget? I said, no. I said, just put the shit in that works, and use the ingredients that you used in the trials. So when you were talking about supplement companies and they put the fairy dust in, we had this when we came to do our second production run, because the fenugreek is hideously expensive. And the testofen, which is the brand name for the fenugreek, which was used in the trials, is even more expensive. So the lab who put it together, because we have it made in a pharmaceutical grade lab in Sydney, so we've got all the quality and it's TGA listed, which is important, said, well, the costs are going to be a bit of a blowout on this, but we can put in some other fenugreek, which is just the same. And I said, is it the same? He said, well, yeah, it's does it have the same effects? Well, yeah, it should do. I said, should and do are different. And we had a bit of a backwards and forwards, and Sam and I sat across the table for about 30 milliseconds and said, nah, it's not about the cost. I want to be able to look at people like you and our other ambassadors, or the man in the street who's invested 120 hard-earned dollars in our product, and say it's the best it can be. And if I can't do that, I'd rather not do it. So it's using the scientists to say this is the right formulation and this is how it needs to be, and we've got the clinical trials to support it. Because, as we said a few minutes ago, we both spent a fucking shitload of money on snake oil, and it's not in my mentality. I don't want to rip people off. I'd rather not do it. So it's like, it's as good as it can be. I take it every day because I want to take it, and if you want to take it and it works with you, great. That's how it is. So it all came together synchronously to meet up with Amanda, and she's still on board. She's formulating us another couple of products at this point in time for
this is the scientist.
Yeah.
Yep. Man, that's so cool. Because again, so many supplement companies, they're just really fucking good marketers, and they sell a lot of products because their marketing is so good. Now, I'd never even heard of you guys, and I don't hear too much about you guys other than from, the other ambassadors who are really fucking, really solid, staunch guys who are excelling in their own paths. So, that to me is testament to what the product is. And that's why it is, decently priced. It is expensive, but it's a nutraceutical. And like you said, it's TGA listed, which is, what's TGA mean again?
Therapeutic Goods Administration.
Yep. So nutraceuticals are... Yeah, sorry, go on.
Well, we did that, Shaun, because, the supplement industry is unregulated, as you said. And supplements shouldn't make claims because they're not legally allowed to do that. And we wanted to make claims that were substantiated by third-party evidence. But also we wanted a little, let's say, quality guarantee. So the TGA listing for us was a little bit of a marketing, but also for us to know it was as good as it could be, because we could make claims. It limits what we can say, but I mean, that's good. And it's also, Australia is a very trusted brand in itself for quality. So to have, Australian TGA listed product is a good thing. And that's, it's not cheap. We have to do listings and controls and all of that shit every year. But to me, it's just another sign of this is what we're willing to put into this for you, for us, for me. And as you say, I'd rather make a really good product than spend the money on the marketing.
Yeah, that's great, man. So your flagship product is REBOOT, which is a nutraceutical, which basically means that it's derived from real sources. Nothing made in the lab. There's nothing that doesn't occur in nature. Can you talk to me about your experience with REBOOT and where it's at now and what your vision for BeSpunki is moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, the product itself is all herbs. We even had to wait because Sam is quite anal about quality, which is a good thing. So, like, most capsules are plastic capsules that don't dissolve in the gut easily, so it causes gut health problems. So we had to wait for a veggie cap that dissolves, and that delayed the product. So that's the level that we've gone to. And she told the guys who make it we wouldn't have magnesium stearate in the product. They put that in to oil the gears of the machines, but it's not good for the body. So what you see on the ingredients pack is what you see, and it's only actives within it. And you know, that to me is important, that we go to that level, or she goes to that level. I wouldn't have the first clue about all of this shit, and that's why it's good that she's involved in it. So my experience with REBOOT is like, fuck, you know, I've been on it now 3 years. People say, do you need to cycle it? Because they confuse it with testosterone or TRT, or because it supports your own natural production. You can cycle it if you wish, but you don't need to. And you know, the longer you have it, and people say, oh well, you would say that because it's your product. Say, well, okay, go off it, cycle it, see what works for you. But the longer you're on it, clearly the more enhanced your machine is going to be, the better shape it's going to be. So, you know, my sleep levels have improved, my stress levels have gone down. You know, I'm calmer. I know if I miss a week if I'm traveling, or when I used to travel, I was a lot more edgy. And you know, recovery, time in the gym. I mean, fuck. You know, I thought I trained hard in my life, but you know, now I'm lifting more than I did when I was 22, and that's not because I was a slack git then. So it's just a cumulative effect, and you know, certainly taking care of business is, you know, some of the guys who live locally around here, you know, in their 50s, were having problems taking care of business, and now, you know, it's no guy really wants to talk about that, but now they're ringing me up or sending me WhatsApp saying, "Oh mate, fucking taking care of business," and you know, their wives are writing in saying, "Thank you so much, you got my husband back." And you know, I mean, that's a little thing, but it's a big thing. It's saving marriages. And people might think, yeah, it's bullshit. Well, if you've got a partner who can't take care of business, you might say it doesn't matter. But if he can take care of business again, then you'll see how much it did matter.
Yeah, man. For those listening, you did send me a package a couple of months ago via DHL. It got caught up at fucking Thai customs or whatever. I never actually got the package, so I haven't been taking any BeSpunki for a couple of months now, and I've definitely noticed a difference. For me, the mark of a good supplement is, you know, when I start taking it, I will notice an impact, but it's when I stop taking something where I notice, you know, a little bit more anxiety. I'm not recovering as well. I'm not performing as well. I'm not sleeping as well, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I've noticed over the last couple of months. And that's why I am an ambassador for you guys. That's why I did come on board, because I did start taking it and I did notice the effects of, you know, how I was feeling, my quality of life on a day-to-day basis. But I think it's a really good point about what you said earlier about insulin, cortisol, and testosterone being inversely related. If you're not managing one of those, then it's going to affect the others. And that's what I've noticed with REBOOT, is that it just allows me to kind of keep everything balanced. And, you know, obviously I need to focus on sleep. I need to focus on nutrition. I need to focus on good quality training and recovery mechanisms and all that type of stuff. But, you know, when I've got everything dialed in and then I start taking REBOOT, I can really fucking notice a difference, man. It just gives me that extra couple of % to allow me to, you know, be my best person on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's amazing to see what you can and can't ship around the world. And, you know, we can ship to the US quicker than we can ship from Sydney to Brisbane. And then, you know, we get to your situation in Thailand, and it's like, sometimes, you know, people in authorities just, you can't talk sense. So we're going to find a way around it, even if I have to come on a paddle boat out of Byron and paddle all the way up to deliver it to you. But, you know, I think
I'll meet you halfway, bro.
Yeah, you probably get there quicker than me, man. I tell you, but it is that aspect of you don't know, it's that adage of the frog in the pan, and that's men's health. Our base level testosterone levels now, on average at age 18 to 25, are about 30% lower than our grandfathers were. Mm-hmm. And you have a natural decline. It's just a fact. But our decline is steeper because of environmental factors, lifestyle factors, and so on. But it's the frog in the boiling pan, mate. It's nice, it's warm, it's too hot, I can't get out. And people don't know, because it's gradual. It's not you wake up one day and your dick doesn't work. It's not like that. Mm-hmm. But more lethargic, less energy. Well, yeah, can't. It's a slow process. And what we notice with a lot of the guys is, one of your mates, who's an absolute legend, he felt it on day 39. Because everybody's got a different start point. None of us are the same. So why would everybody expect the results to be the same? I felt it in probably 2 weeks. Some people take 12 weeks. Yeah. It's not wrong. It's just the way it is. What else have you got? So, I think it's a work in progress. And, I'm very grateful that we've got legends like you. Our ambassadors are just fucking phenomenal. Everybody says to us, they're not even bothered about the product, which is great. They go, how the fuck did you get all of those ambassadors? Because there's not one who isn't a legend. And, I love it. And I think, to me, that makes my life complete. Forget the product, just the fact that we're working with real men who I respect and admire. That's all it needs to be for me. And the fact that they enjoy the product's secondary.
Yeah, that's great, mate. And I'm really fucking proud to be on board and, to be in the circle with the guys that you do have on board, because they all are fucking legends. And I know, some of the guys personally, and I know that they're exactly the same. They wouldn't endorse a product that they haven't fucking tried or believe in themselves and, have had an impact on their lives. And I'm sure every single one of them was like, I want to try this for a couple of months before I even bother fucking mentioning it.
Yeah. And to sort of come all the way back to the beginning, because I just want to say I'm very grateful to you and all of the guys who we've got on the ambassador team, and I'd like to give a big shout out to Adrian at Swiss 8 as well, because we're happy to support him and what he's doing as much as we can, because big respect to what he's drawing to, and Heston for the voice of the veteran, and to my mind, everybody in this country should be very grateful to what you guys have done. And to me at BeSpunki, it's just a little token, as much as we can, of respect to you all, and to all of your listeners. I know they know about Swiss 8, but I just want to say thank you to you and to the guys at Swiss 8, because what you did and what you do is so important. It's more important than Reboot and BeSpunki. So thank you, Shaun.
Mate, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. To start winding up the episode, the name of this podcast is Live, Train, Perform. That stands for Live Life to the Fullest, Train to Your Potential, and Perform at Your Best. What does that mantra mean for you?
It is life, isn't it? If you don't live, I want to go to sleep every day knowing I did the best I could do, which is to live to the full. Without training, I'm unfit to live. I'm a grumpy, miserable bastard. And performing, if I've trained, I can perform in my daily life as a reasonable human being. If I don't train, I'm a cunt. So I love your mantra, because if I need to live to my fullest, I do need to train, and if I don't train, I don't perform, and then I don't live to my fullest. So it's a beautiful way of living, and I think it sums up life to a T.
You just literally summed up my mantra when I came up with it many, many years ago. That's brilliant, mate. To wind up the episode, where can people find more information on BeSpunki? How can they get some hands on some product, and where can they find you to support the brand?
Yeah, bespunki.com.au is the website. Shaun at bespunki.com is my email. I love to chat to people. There's nothing gives me greater pleasure than somebody sends me an email, says, I'd like to give you a call. And they, the feedback is, oh shit, we've never had this from anybody else. It's like, mate, you're spending your money with me. You're investing in yourself through us. If I can't give you the time to take a call or to respond to an email. So bespunki.com.au is the best place to go. It's got all of you guys on. It's got some great articles, some great information. It's also got the online shop. We can ship more or less anywhere, US, Oz, Middle East, not Thailand yet, but we're working on that. Yeah, I mean, hit me up. I'm sure they can do a search on it. There's not too much about BeSpunki on the web. I mean, you might find some odd sites, but yeah, I mean, happy to chat to anybody. And I always say to people, don't take my word for it. Have a go with it. And yeah, it's expensive, but I had a guy talk to me today, and he said it's less than half a bottle of beer a day. So it's $4 a day effectively. So are you worth $4 a day? And that's how I look at it. If you don't invest in yourself, who will?
Yeah, swap out your fucking Starbucks for some Reboot and you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate.
And if it don't fucking work, send it back and we'll give you your money back. I mean, we've got this 100% money back guarantee, which is I fucking fought against, because I remember that twat who had the shaver who said I was so impressed I bought the company, and if you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. And I always thought that was bullshit. But the guy said, oh no, you need to give 100% money back guarantee. So I said, yeah, nobody believes that. I said, well, you do it. We haven't had anybody, or not, I think probably 2 people in 3 years send it back. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
And then when we sent the money back, they went, fucking hell, nobody else has done that. I said, oh, you do this on a regular basis?
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. That just reminded me of, I went to Whitehaven Beach many years ago, up in Airlie Beach off the Great Barrier Reef, and Whitehaven Beach is consistently ranked as one of the top 5 fucking beaches in the world, and the sand is so fine, man. Like, you can grab a ring or a necklace or something, and like, a gold ring, and rub the sand on it, and it fucking polishes it. It is stunning, man. But I read some reviews on TripAdvisor before I went, and there was a couple of 1-star reviews, and I was like, I wonder what these are. And people like left 1-star reviews because they're like, we went to this beautiful beach, but then there was no cafe to go to with Wi-Fi, so I could upload my photos to. And I was like, you fucking idiots. But there's always going to be people like that, mate.
Yeah, and our sort of goal target for the next bit is to take it to the world and just present it in the best way we can and give people the information that they need, and it's their choice. And if 7 million, 70 million, 700 million guys buy it, great. If they don't, that's great too. It's not on me whether they do or they don't. I just want to do the best job I can do to give them the information so they don't make the fucking mistakes that I've made over my life.
100%, and that's why I'm absolutely on board with you, mate. You're so authentic, you're so real, man. I love your values, and I am very proud to be aligned with you guys. So thank you very much for sharing your story and for being on the podcast, mate. Let's catch up again soon, bro.
Absolute pleasure, Shaun, and keep up the good work, mate, because what you're doing is really what's required. So thank you.
Thank you, brother.